tuned to Africa Global Radio. My name is Manifest from Accra, Ghana. Bless up.
Okay, and that's a beautiful piece by Coffee featuring legendary Buju Banton. That's the remix of Pressure. Still listening to the Africa Lady Show on Africa Global Radio, and you're welcome. If this is your first time streaming us, I say welcome and stay tuned for more glorious stuff coming up. The name is Barry. Let's get on now to listen to what's happening in three different spaces, yeah? And that's headlines across Africa. Let's get on with it right about now.
Headlines across Africa.
Headlines across Africa.
Headlines across Africa.
Headlines across Africa.
Africa Global Radio. Our story, our growth, our future.
Headlines across Africa.
Welcome to Africa Global Radio. I'm Itumeleng Labhambi with your headlines across Africa for Thursday, 19 January. In today's bulletin, Zambia considering debt for nature proposal by WWF for a $13 billion restructuring loan. East African country representatives competing to house the lucrative East African Monetary Institute. And Morocco's National Finery Museum has received over 39,000 visitors in 1 week who indulged the cultural finery, costume, and jewelry. The government of Zambia received a $13 billion restructuring offer on debt for nature terms. The government confirmed to the media on Wednesday that the World Wildlife Fund, WWF, provided a blueprint last year on how conservation pledges could be part of the deal. In their simplest form, debt for nature swaps replace expensive bonds or loans with cheaper financing, usually with the help of a credit guarantee from a multilateral development bank. The debt for nature swap proposal forms part of its $13 billion restructuring discussions, a move that, while complex to secure and not part of current talks, could set an eco-friendly precedent for other debt crises in the future. A decision to set up the East African Monetary Institute, the central bank of East Africa, a key institution required in implementing a single currency regime, will be made this year. But it seems each country has the desire to house it. According to the East African Community Secretary General, Peter Matuki, member states have so far failed to agree on which country should host the EAMI, each angling to avail themselves of the massive potential to attract foreign capital and become the region's financial hub. The EAMI has thus become a hot potato, with the partners jostling to host the key institution. The EAMI will be in place this year in what will allow the region to harmonize member states' fiscal and monetary policies. Then, in about 3 years, they will have a common currency in place, Matuki told journalists last week. The single currency will ease business and movement of persons within the region, which would achieve the bloc's goal as envisioned in the Common Market Protocol. With a collective population of 300 million, the EAC is likely to attract investors from across the world, as they will gain from the vast market and by extension have access to the entire continent's population. The common currency marks the third pillar of integration of the EAC after the establishment of the Customs Union and the Common Market Protocol that deepened cooperation among the EAC member states. The National Finery Museum, which was inaugurated on January 7th at the Casbah of Odeus in Rabat, has shattered all records in terms of number of visitors. The museum actually received nearly 40,000 visitors in less than 8 days after its opening to the public. The jewelry exhibited in the museum are displayed in various exhibition halls dedicated to the historical development of the finery and the chain of manufacture, the history of Moroccan costume, the male finery and harness, the Amazigh jewelry, and the regional specificities of the main production centers of urban jewelry. The exhibition is currently displaying the works of 3 Moroccan designers, namely Tammy Tazi, Zor Raiz, and Albert Oiknine. So, I was thinking, the countries which meet all criteria to host the East African Bank should be shortlisted and the selection administered by children. Just 3 children. One writes each country name, scrambles it into a ball, and tosses it in a hat held by a blindfolded second child. The third child walks in and picks one paper. Wouldn't that be fair? I can't imagine that being a corruptible method. Well, that's all for today on Headlines Across Africa with me, Itumeleng Labhambi. Tomorrow we'll be having our last bulletin of the week right here on Africa Global Radio.
For this and more, check us out on africaglobalradio.com. On Facebook and YouTube, Africa Global Radio. On Twitter and Instagram, AF Global Radio. All right, that's all for headlines across Africa. For more, log on to africaglobalradio.com, where you can just get onto our Facebook page. You get to listen to the headlines across Africa as well. This is the Africa Daily Show on Africa Global Radio. I am Barry. Let's go for a musical break, and we're going to be back for trends on social media.